So the Hemmitt would be a brother look like me. You see, light complected, light brown complected. Sheikh Anta Diop in his book African Origins of Civilization, Myth and Reality gives the entire story of the Tamahu in his book. He omits the section of the Tamahu found in the temple of Seti I, which in Jeremiah's Book of the Beginnings, Volume 1, page 27, he puts the page back, or in actuality the page can't be found because Jeremiah is before Diop. The page can be found. But he omits this particular part of the Tamahu in his particular book, African Origins of Civilization, Myth and Reality. But you get the whole story of the Tamahu and Champollion and what he found in his disappointment and all of that. But in Jeremiah's book, Book of the Beginnings, Book of the Beginnings, Volume 1, Volume 27, you actually get that particular page. You get that particular page. Now, going back, we have a link of the Egyptians apparently creating this race of people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it in the Theology of Time that the Egyptians created the white man. Well, in Hermetica, they say that our biggest problem is we created another race of people. In the Hermetic text, Kamite text. Now, going back, let's try to trace this story on when did it happen. First of all, we understand that there was no such thing as Egypt. That's the Greek name. The name was Cam, just like another ancient name of Ethiopia was Cush, Punt. These particular names, Cam, Cush, Punt, these names meant they were describing certain areas and certain people. So the word Cam, the word Cush, all that means black. The key here is that the origin of Kemet goes back further than the 3,000 years. Well, the high priest Manetho gives us roughly about 8,000 to 10,000 years. But if we want to go back, we know that the Sphinx is carbon dated to 90,000 years. We know that the pyramids is just as old, as just that they had white limestone casings on them, which the Arabs, when they invaded, they used to build Cairo from the limestone casings of the three great pyramids. The point is that these things are very old and way older than 3,000 years ago. You see what I'm saying? They're older than Khufu. Now in your book, and then one thing I can say about the scholarship of Zachariah Sitchin is we know that he has his angle because he's trying to write something for the European Jews, but still yet they have the money, they have the research to finance things. He can get several archaeological things that most people can't get. And yes, in his book Stairway to Heaven, he goes into the science in the back of the book on forging the pyramids, which we know that the pharaohs in Kemet would come about and they would forge earlier temples, edifices, and buildings. You would, like Ramesses, take for instance, forged his name on the temple of Luxor and covered up stuff from Tutankhamun. You see. So we know that they would always, when they would do repairs on something, a lot of times they would either forge their name or they would get attributed to building the work. They said that Khufu did repairs on the pyramids. You see what I'm saying? Repairs on the pyramids. These things are way older than what we can suspect. So, given the age of the Egyptians, now Blavatsky's book said that the Egyptian priests would never tell the origin of what they were. They were just toying with the Greeks. In so many words, the knowledge that we get on the whole 3,000 years of ancient Kemet from Manetho's book Socrates. It's just that Manetho was toying with them. They said, well, the Greeks are so interested in chronology, just give them a synopsis. So the little 3,000 years, a little 10,000 years is some stuff that he gave them, which there's all kind of discrepancies in right now. Where they have all kind of conferences and saying and stuff, 'cause a lot of this stuff don't hold up. So they gave them the 500 pharaohs of the 300 pharaohs of the dynastic and the 500 pharaohs of the pre-dynastic, just to shut the damn Greeks up. But they said that even Blavatsky's book said that they would never tell the origin. You don't never tell a person your origin, because a person can dictate how to control you based on how old you are. They would know exactly what to deal with. And the Egyptians and the Camites, that was very secret, and they would never give the origin of that. And number one, they didn't deal with time the way we dealt with time. You see what I'm saying? Now, even in the book, in Jeremiah's book, Natural Genesis, also quoted with Blavatsky's book, Secrets of Doctrine, they say that the Egyptians plotted the stars for 40,000 years and didn't tell no damn body. Plotted the damn celestial universe for 40,000 years. They said that they have a 25-year cycle. The Egyptians talk about a 25-year cycle of a world's great year. 25,000 year cycle of the world's great year. Said the damn Egyptians went through 8 of them. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about, just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there ain't no birth records, there is no time. This stuff goes on and for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Now the document that they found in the British Museum, very old, it was an Arabic document. They couldn't even find the regular Arab, the regular Arab-speaking people. They couldn't even find it. They had to go and get an old ancient Arab family with the ancient dialect to translate this particular documents that was left behind by the Moors. And when they translated, they had to go get a black family in Arabia. One of those black families is left behind. You know, you go to Arabia and it's 85% black. They had a conference at the Arabian expedition. They had a conference, they had an expedition or an exhibit of ancient Arabia or Arabia in 1989 that I went to in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, wait a minute, is this Arabia? Because I thought it was Africa. It was blue black people all over Arabia. So they had to go and get one of those particular people with a dialect to translate this particular fragment that was left behind in the British Museum. And when they translated, they found out that the chronology went 2 billion years. And we're not talking about 2 billion men or some 8 man. We're talking about 2 billion years of advanced high beings. Exactly what the doggone mythology talks about. So we were like, man, we don't even have anything that can even calculate that. The only thing we even had to come close to that was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying that the black man was 66 trillion years old, which is a symbolic number we don't know. And it's no different than what the doggone mythology talks about as millions of years. Even in this book, the Nag Hammadi Library, dug up in 1945, translated by James Robinson, in this particular book, where you have a mythology that will span in 2 pages 10 million years in 2 pages of the actual mythology or the actual text. This stuff is very old. This stuff is very old. Remember now, the white boys got to push the timeline up to 6,000 years because that is the time that he comes into play. So this is a form of psychological mind control. If you give the world only 6,000 years, he can justify, or he can tell you that he's always been here. That's what black people say now. Well, we gotta live with them. Not if they only been here a few days ago. Now, going back, the Egyptian priests that we talk about in Kemet, we're talking about literally thousands of years ago. Now, this puts this thing back to Atlantis, these play on words. Whether you call it Egyptian, Cam, Cush, Atlantis, Lemuria, all that stuff, Al-Kamori, there's several names for the planet Earth.